Well, let's go.
Okay, do you want to get started? Um, okay, yeah, cool. Um, so hey everyone, thank you so much for joining the workshop. Basically, we're going to go over how to get started in the Stellar ecosystem, and also we're going to talk about mobile money networks, a key focus of our bounties for the financial inclusion track at the Funding the Commons hackathon. So yeah, so thank you everyone. Um, let's get started. So first of all, my name is Chris Anatolio. I'm a developer advocate for the Stellar Development Foundation. I have a pretty, broad background, so feel free to ask me like questions about anything really. So just a quick overview. So what we're going to cover is we're going to do intro to Rust. Rust is the programming language used to build smart contracts on the Stellar network. Um, a lot of other ecosystems such as like Solana, Cosmos, Polkadot Substrate also use Rust. And then we're going to talk about the Sorbonne smart contract platform and some of the dev tools and the ecosystem around it. We're going to walk through how to use the Stellar CLI, and finally, we're going to walk through the concept of mobile money networks and how to integrate with the mobile money open API specification. So, yeah, this is hands-on. If you want to follow along, please go ahead. This was meant to be a hands-on, open laptop um, workshop, but all this stuff is in the docs, So basically, getting started Stellar, first of all, you go to the docs, right? Developer.stellar.org/docs, right? And we have a getting started guide, of course, which you can find at the QR code listed above. So if you go to the docs, the first step is installing Rust, right? So you just copy that command, right? Open up your terminal, type in curl, you know, pass in HTTPS as a protocol, right? Standard stuff. Ensure TLS 1.2 is used, and then pass in sh.rs, and then pipe that to shell, right? And then just proceed with the standard installation by pressing one. Um, so if you are installing that, it might take a little while, but why do we use Rust, right? So Rust is it, you get a lot of advantages with Rust, right? So you get the speed of C, you get the robustness and developer velocity and expressiveness of Python, and the concurrency of Go, right? So it's a language built for systems development, right? And systems development has like higher requirements usually than web apps. You know, if you remember the CrowdStrike outage that took out millions of PCs, that was because of a null pointer, in their C library. So memory management's tough, and Rust really helps you out with that. Um, Through its ownership system. So you could confidently write fast, you know, concurrent applications with confidence. So after you install Rust, the next step is you want to add a target. So yeah, just go to the docs, yeah, copy down that command, rust up, target, add wasm32, unknown, unknown. And then, yeah, that will give you a target so that we can compile Rust into WebAssembly. So let's go over Sorbonne real quick. So basically, the main piece, the centerpiece of your workflow is going to be the Stellar CLI. So basically, the best way to get it is to install it from source using Cargo, the Rust. It's like a package manager. Um, so you can just take that command, Cargo install, locked, Stellar CLI. features, OPT, which gives you a optimized build. Um, and yeah, that will install the CLI for you. It's a really versatile, great tool for building on Stellar. So yeah, so Sorbonne is built with performance, sustainability, and security in mind. So it helps you build like complex apps without performance bottlenecks, and it ensures that transactions never conflict. It allows for true parallel execution, significantly increasing throughput. Um, so after you get the CLI, one thing you probably want to do is configure it for testnet. It'll save you a lot of boilerplate if you just pre-configure using this command, Stellar Network, add global testnet RPC URL, passing in the Sorbonne RPC node, and then the static network passphrase. This will save you from having to type that in every single time. It'll save you a lot of keystrokes. So yeah, just go to the docs, um, go to the section about configuring the CLI for testnet, and you should be good to go. So after you get your CLI all set up, let's actually use this CLI. So the first thing we probably want to do is generate an identity, right? So let's generate a key pair using the command Stellar keys generate double dash global, whatever name you want, network testnet, right? And then using Stellar keys address, whatever name you used, that will give you the public key of that identity that you just generated, right? So again, just go to the docs, check it out, um, run that command, and that's how you generate a key pair. Next step, so on that same page on the left-hand side, if you go to the Hello World section, we could actually go into how to bootstrap and create a new project. So using the command stellar contract init, whatever you want your project to be named, that will actually create a project skeleton for you. So if you cd into the project, you dive into it in the src folder, you'll find a contract lib.rs, right? So there, yeah. So just to review, docs, go to hello world, create a new project, and just copy that stellar contract init command, right? So stellar contract init, whatever you want your project to be named, it'll create the folder for you, um, and then yeah, I'll give you a very basic hello world smart contract, and then you could use stellar contract build, and that will actually build your contract. So next step, so that now that we generated a contract and we built it, we're ready to actually deploy it to test it. So yeah, on the docs, left hand side, go to deployment, and then use the command stellar contract deploy, deploy to testnet using that key pair and identity you generated, and then passing in that target we generated as well. And yeah, so from the top, yeah. So the docs, deploy to testnet, go to the deploy section, copy that command, stellar contract deploy, testnet, of course, your identity, your key pair that you generated, and the WASM target that we set up. Right. And then so after you deploy, you get back the hash, the address of that deployed contract on testnet. So there's like a lot of stuff in the Stellar ecosystem. For this hackathon, you probably want to focus on just a couple key components of it. So you need a wallet, of course, right? And then we have SDKs and whatever language you want to use, all the common languages, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript. Um, and then we also have something called the Horizon API, which gives you programmatic access to blockchain operations. If you're not necessarily a Web3 native developer, you could use Horizon API and just make some REST API calls to interact with the blockchain. And then we're going to go over a couple dev tools, such as Okashi, which is it's got like Remix in the EVM ecosystem. It's like a in-browser simple IDE. And yeah, the CLI is going to be a core piece of your workflow. So as far as wallets, there's a couple different uh, like wallets you can choose from. The simplest probably is Freighter. Freighter is a Chrome plugin, just like MetaMask. You can find it at freighter.app. You can scan that QR code. It's going to have a very familiar user interface. One great thing about Stellar is there's no system of faucets um, built into Freighter. If you configure testnet or you select the dropdown for testnet, there will actually be a link or a button to click for a service called FriendBot, which will give you 10,000 test XLM um, for your development needs. So yeah, and no need to jump through hoops for faucets. It's built right into the wallet. And as I said before, Okashi can be found at okashi.dev. And it's not great for very complex projects, but it's good for, prototyping, for, doing a proof of concept. If you just want to figure out a piece of logic or a function and see what's going on, in the memory, you can do the full workflow of build, deploy, and invoking functions on a deployed smart contract. So yeah, it's really fast development loop for simple tasks, but yeah, you definitely want to use your IDE for complex contract development. So if you want to participate in a Stellar network bounty, you probably want to onboard to the Stellar ecosystem, right? And leverage all of the resources. We have a really friendly community, a really helpful community. Um, Everyone is focused on building. Um, there's there's no talk about speculation or anything. Everyone's just focused on, you know, this being productive and building and advocating for the ecosystem. So you know the drill. When you want to learn a new technology, you dive into the docs, you look at some videos, and you start writing some code, right? Um, we have lots of code samples. We have lots of example contracts. You know, like if you want to learn how to build like a time lock contract for like doing escrow, we have all the standard contracts as examples in the docs. Um, and after this hackathon, if you want to keep going, we actually have a program called the Stellar Community Fund that gives you up to 150K USD to build on the Stellar ecosystem. And right, it's a gameplay loop. So you build, you write some code, you learn, and rinse and repeat. And you get a little bit better every day. So now let's dive into the concept of mobile money networks. So this is like a core focus of our hackathon bounties. So, well, why is it such a big deal? So this actually surprised me to learn, but there are 1.75 billion users using mobile money networks. And the reason why is because they work on feature phones. Feature phones are like really simple, like they're like imagine like an old Nokia phone from like the 2000s. They're not a smartphone. Basically, it allows you to transact, do like P2P payments, do vendor or merchant payments using a very simple phone and a text interface. And that's reality for a quarter of the population of the planet, right? So when people talk about onboarding the next billion users to blockchain, it's like here they are. they're on mobile money networks, and they're transacting like 1.5 trillion, a year, and you can see his double-digit growth across the board, right? But yeah, no, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Um, GSMA is a large organization. It's sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They have partnerships across industries. Definitely look them up and look up their mobile money, state of mobile money report, link at the bottom of this slide. So, so what's the main problem with mobile money networks is that they're fragmented. Sorry. Um, Basically, each mobile money network is is like an island. It's like a regional closed off network. And so you have all these people on these little islands, each using their own little like mobile money network, so they're mainly regional. There's no interconnection uh, between mobile money networks or between mobile money and the traditional finance ecosystem, and there's no connection between mobile money networks and the blockchain. So they're kind of isolated and they're on their own. So basically, there's a couple different ideas about how to solve this problem. So there's, you know, there's like regional consortiums of mobile money networks that kind of group together and form like a coalition. Um, a more holistic approach is this mobile money open API specification. So basically, the idea is anyone that adheres to the specification is able to interact. So if we were able to align the industry on this specification, we'd be able to unite uh, 1.75 billion people on all these networks, not just with each other, but also with the blockchain and traditional finance potentially. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of the idea behind our hackathons. So so basically, if that's something you're interested in, um, you could go to developer.mobilemoneyAPI.io and pull down the open API specification. Um, Basically, just as shown here, you just go to that URL, go to the OAS 3 UI button, and then download that YAML file, which is the specification in YAML format. So, what do you do with this file? Um, well, one thing you can do is you get an app called Postman. It's a very common app used for interacting with REST APIs. Um, so pretty simple. Just go to postman.com, um, select your OS. And what's cool about Postman is if you, as shown here, if you click on import, you just grab that YAML, drop it in, and you choose an Open API 3.0 collection and click import. It'll actually build out all of these endpoints for you. With all, yeah, so it'll like convert that documentation into an actionable like REST client that you can execute these calls. And then another great thing Postman does is so if you go to an actual endpoint, you can generate code um, to basically invoke that endpoint. So if you want to use like Axios as Node.js, it'll generate that code for you. So we have this hackathon guide, which should walk you through pretty much everything about what it takes to be successful at a hackathon. It's located at this QR code, but also it's linked in our resources on Dora hacks. So, so for anyone, if anyone's new to hackathons, hey, here's like the basic workflow. Team formation. Our hackathon guide like walks through that. The different skill sets you need, project planning, creating your mockup, uh, in your mockup UI and like your user flows. Creating your MVP, documenting your MVP, creating a detailed video with a compelling narrative, and also a demo of your product, and then working on a pitch. So like a really great narrative goes a long way to really highlighting and elevating your project. So it's definitely worth the effort to invest. So one thing the Stellar Network focuses on is real world impact. Um, Yeah, for instance, my go-to example is that the UN Refugee Agency used Stellar Aid Assist to distribute 4 million in aid to displaced Ukrainian refugees. Um, so it's just really great to see blockchain, having a real impact in the world. Um, So yeah, so let's talk about our actual bounties, our theme, and our tracks, right? So our the theme is financial inclusion, right? Um, the global South historically has been left out of the global financial system. So how do we create just basic financial services, and expand access to these billions of people that don't have bank accounts, that don't have access to credit or like anything they need um, to to really uplift themselves. And yeah, they're stuck with cash. And yeah, it's just a very difficult situation, right? Um, so track one is more general. It does not include mobile money API integration. If you just want to build a D app on Silverbond, if you just want to write a smart contract, build a D app, then you want to do track one, right? So basically, you want to create some type of financial D app leveraging Stellar's infrastructure. So one of the great things about Stellar is our very extensive um, on-ramp and off-ramp ecosystem. We call the system anchors. So basically, we have partnerships with traditional finance institutions like MoneyGram, so that you could actually go on-chain to cash. Um, an example of this would be, for instance, a remote worker in a rural Colombian village is a remote personal assistant for someone in New York. So how do you pay someone who operates on cash who lives in Colombia in the country? The way we've solved this is you do an on-chain payment with USDC, and then the person in Colombia could go to their local MoneyGram agent, um, and they'll walk you through the process, and that USDC can be converted into local currency, and they can have cash in hand. Um, so yeah, so if you do approach this track, like you definitely want to think how to leverage the unique advantages of the Stellar network. Such as our Anchor ecosystem. Um, but yeah, the use cases you want to target are, yeah, just seemingly simple things that like affect people in the global south. Like for instance, a lot of countries in Latin America have extremely high inflation. So just getting access to stable coins on chain is a huge game changer a lot of times. Just being able to have your savings in USDC on chain, and then being able to pull out local currency as needed you know, is a game changer for a lot of people in Latin America. Um, so yeah, I mean, just think about the basic services that people need. Micro lending for people that want to you know, build up their farm, for instance. So just creating the apps that really uh, unlock financial inclusion for historically underserved regions of the world is kind of what this track is all about. If you do want to tackle the mobile money open API track, then that would be track two, right? So basically, as we discussed before, you want to use one of our technologies like the Horizon API or one of our SDKs to one integrate with the mobile money open API specification and then hook that into the Stellar ecosystem in a novel way. Um, we have a lot of example use cases shown in the resources we linked on Dora Hacks, but imagine um, initiating a payment on a mobile money network um, that that ends in someone pulling cash out of MoneyGram, or it ends in a USDC stablecoin payment. So basically, the idea is to kind of brainstorm like how can we bring these fragmented mobile money networks into eh, into the blockchain Web3 ecosystem, right? Because if we unlock that, that's 1.75 billion people. That's and it'll be a huge uplift for them. Um, and then our third track is so, of course, anytime you have off-chain data, if you want to bring that data on-chain, you need an oracle, right? So, um, if if you're very technical and you want to tackle this track three, this is basically you will take the mobile money open API specification and basically integrate it. Um, and you take the data, verify it, but follow. We have this um, um, all these use cases and all these details fleshed out in the resources on Dora Hacks. But basically, you know, um, you want to bring off-chain data from these mobile money networks on chain you using a decentralized Oracle system, right? Um, cool. Uh, yeah, and so as I mentioned before, if you want more information on these tracks, dorahacks.io/hackathon FTC 2024 tracks pound financial inclusion by Stellar. You can scan this QR code or just go to that URL or just search for uh, flooding the commons, stellar Dora hacks, and it'll pop up, right? So this hackathon is online primarily, but there is an optional in-person event. So if you're going to DEF CON, there's going to be an event on site. Um, and yeah, Stellar's going to be there. We were going to be there supporting builders. So if you're coming to DEF CON, if you're coming to Bangkok, you should definitely come by this in-person event. You can find it on Luma uh, FtC Bangkok 2024. Scan that QR code or just go to that URL listed on the slide. And yeah, that's about all I have. Um, yeah, some of our ideals are building for impact. Having real world impact from on chain. Uh, building for innovation, of course, and interoperability. Cross chain feature. Um, So yeah, thank you everyone. Yeah, again, we have this hackathon survival guide, which contains a lot of great resources. You can scan this QR code to find it. But let me know if anyone has any questions.
Yes, I saw there were some questions from Hunter in the chat. I don't know if any are relevant
Yes.
at this point. Some of them were already answered. But if you just quickly want to take a look at them. And also, if
Okay.
you'd be happy to share maybe about some of the use cases of maybe distributing funds. I know we talked about this prior to the call quickly. Of how Stellar has been used, for example, to distribute humanitarian aid and maybe inspire or like share maybe some of the solutions that you would like to see built during the hackathon.
Sure. Yeah. So definitely in addition to granting giving people access to stable coins on chain, you could also build something that is yield bearing, something that's essentially a savings account that leverages yield bearing um, assets like tokenized uh, treasury bills or leverages DeFi yield in a safe, risk managed way that kind of abstracts away the complexity of DeFi and then makes it into a simple savings account. Yeah, just like things that normal people can use, that's like really the focus. Like, so what do people need? People need to be able to do P2P payments. They need to be able to do payments to merchants. They need a savings account. Uh, Ideally, they want protection from inflation. Uh, if they live in a high inflation country, uh, and ideally, they would have access to some kind of yield bearing account so that they could grow and uplift themselves over time. Another great idea would be like a microloans platform. A lot of people in the global south don't have access to any kind of financing. So without financing, like how do you buy new equipment for your store or your farm or that? What if um, there's an emergency, and you don't have access to credit. So yeah, so basically extending basic financial services is one thing definitely, but then uh, yeah, let me think. I mean, does that answer your question? Like, I could give more use cases. Um,
Yeah, if you'd like to share, we still have some time, and maybe that's gonna also give some inspiration for further questions.
yeah,
Yeah, everyone can feel free to either unmute yourself if you'd like to ask directly, or just drop your question in the chat.
okay, yeah. Let me go through the chat. Okay, Jim, hello. What does the I don't really understand what the oh wait, a Rust EVM. But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, Hunter, I'm not sure what you mean by a Rust EVM contract. Could you give me more context there? They're like transpiled. Stripe. Yeah, yeah, we definitely have a partnership with Stripe. Let me look at that resource. Yes, I linked you the Anchor Network. Any specific pain points with MoneyGram? From the developer perspective, you do need a minimum number of users to get an API call. So you can't really access test that until you've already built out an application. So you need to mock out the calls. Um, Let me see. Uh, a way to charge their clients in crypto, a way to pay provider services in local currency, a way to save money, protect themselves from hyperinflation. Yeah, those are all fantastic use cases that would definitely fall under track one. Hunter asked, what about in the form of tokenized real world assets? Yeah, so we through Franklin Templeton, there's an asset called Benji, which is tokenized treasury bills, I believe. And there's also a company called Excelar that has a tokenized treasury called XUSD, I believe. So yeah, you do have access to tokenized yield-bearing assets issued on Stellar.
Hello, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, absolutely, please.
Okay, so you said something about changing the funds from being on the blockchain to actual real life currency, right? So is that real life currency, like for instance, if somebody wanted to get like physical cash from what's it called, Latin America, like you said, does it have to be
Mhm.
specific to Latin America? Like, can they get this money from any country?
Yeah, so MoneyGram has like I think 300,000 locations worldwide. They don't support every every country. I could link you the docs here, but they do have a lot of brick and mortar locations around the world.
Okay, so
Um,
it has to be MoneyGram specifically, right? Or it could be any type of.
yeah, so we do have a partnership with MoneyGram specifically. Um, yeah, yeah, there's other firms like Western Union. So yeah, at this point, yeah, it needs to be a MoneyGram location to pull out cash from on-chain stablecoin.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any further questions?
Let me see. I guess other use cases.
Maybe Chris, also if you can share your contact or maybe any way people can reach out to you with further questions because I know some of our builders are gonna watch the recording. So where can they reach you out? That's
Yeah, sure. So I'm on Telegram, Antonio CS, or
perfect. Thank you. I guess last chance to ask questions and we'll wrap up. Seems like there's no further questions. Chris, do you have any maybe like final call to action or any final words?
um, I mean, I'm just really excited to see what people build. We just had a hackathon in London using the same track. And yeah, we got some really cool D apps that people built. In terms like for instance, one was it's like Fiverr. So it's a freelancing platform, but completely on chain and integrated into these mobile money open API specifications. So potentially, giving people access to the gig economy, to like Fiverr, um, that type of thing, um, giving people access to people on mobile money networks, but people also on chain. Yeah, so it's just cool stuff like that. Just creating financial opportunity for people in need.
Love to see that. And yeah, also excited what everyone's gonna build. Just a reminder that the submission deadline is on November 7th. And as Chris said, we'll be having an optional in-person session in Bangkok on November 6th and 7th. So hoping to see some of you there as well. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Chris, for running the session. super great, and we'll make sure to share the recording with those that were not able to make it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.